Classics Minicomics panel.
Yeah.
So when Masters of the Universe Classics first started, I remember one of the biggest requests was that people wanted to see new Minicomics with those figures, because it was one of those things that we all loved and missed from the original line. And eventually we got to a point where we started getting some new Minicomics. And the gentlemen we have up here on stage are the folks responsible for those. So we're going to have a great chat today. We're going to talk about what it was like to work on them. I think we got some cool stuff that they're going to show us. And we'll open up for some Q&A as well. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to direct. So I want to go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves down the line. Let everybody know who you are and what you did. Is this on? Good.
I'm Nate Baertsch.
Beautifully, with this radiance that makes things come alive and just jump off the page.
Hi, I'm Axel Giménez, and I love to draw Minicomics.
Staples. My name is Scott Neitlich. Those of you I've never met in this room. I can also now officially announce that I'm now the Vice President of Marketing for Jada Toys as of tomorrow. And but here today I'm here to talk about the MOTU Minicomics and the amazing experience we had working on them. And at the end I've got some toys to give away for my new gig too. But yeah, let's talk about MOTU Minicomics. We've got a cool presentation, and thank you, Dan, for emceeing this. I've never been in the same room with either of these two gentlemen before, which is unbelievable because we worked together on 3 or 4 of the Minicomics. These gentlemen are 2 of the most talented artists I've ever met.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Obviously, we'll get into some of the stories about how they were made and stuff. What we have from a presentation standpoint is just a quick look at kind of what the Minicomics are all about. And luckily, they saved a lot of their sketches and drawings. So we have some of their sort of character renders for some of the original characters from the Minicomics that haven't really been shown because they were just done as reference to sort of figure out what these new characters were going to look like. So why don't I jump in so we can leave lots of time to chat and questions.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, so Minicomic goals. Why do Minicomics other than the obvious? Because they're awesome. We want to expand the universe. We wanted to make the MOTU universe, Master Universe, as big as possible. We wanted to set up figures for the long-term lifeblood of the line. Because let's face it, the vintage line has now completely been done, thanks to everyone in this room supporting the line so long, that all, whatever, it's 82, I can't remember exactly how many vintage figures there were. Someone must know. How many? Someone? No one knows the count? Not many meteors or random? Anyway, a lot. So there was somewhere between, let's say, 50 and 80, plus New Adventures, plus POP. We knew they were running out, honestly, quickly. So we needed to could use the Minicomics to set up interest in more figures. We could link key areas of the lore. The whole idea that you could, 2000X ended kind of prematurely, and being able to continue that story, or at least the threads that were left off that Ian and Dean had supplied, sort of the transition between 2000X and Classics. To expand She-Ra and the POP, that was precisely why we created New Adventure She-Ra and She-Ra et al, some new versions of her, because we wanted her to be equal with He-Man and sort of the twins of destiny, He-Man and She-Ra. He-Man shouldn't just go to New Adventures on his own. She-Ra should come. Why not? So that was a big goal too. And then the not-repeat stories as it told. A lot of the criticism, or one of the biggest criticisms of Minicomics was always like, we just want to see He-Man versus Skeletor. Well, there's multiple cartoon shows for that, and movies, and media, and audio tapes. So we didn't want to just tell a story that you could really get from, and that had already been done. We want to tell new stories. So that was kind of our thinking of where we were going, and by we, I sort of mean you. Okay, so quick flick, a case study. Can you see? Oh my God, there it is. So that is my drawing. guys, I don't even know if you ever saw that one.
I saw it.
You saw it.
You said it.
So one of the new characters. So I really wanted to make some more Snake Men. And so we had a character, I think in issue 8, right, because that's the one we didn't draw. That was going to be a Snake Man archer. So came up with this character, Quick Flick, that was going to have like a T-Rex head and a bow and arrow. So I did that horrible drawing of what kind of had idea, and then passed it along, and these gentlemen, so there's Kate's version. So that's why they took that horrible sketch that I did at my desk and turned it into something beautiful. Any either of you want to say about it? Quick, please jump in.
What's funny is I remember getting Scott's drawing as we were working on the comics. And I was thinking about it, and there was a funny thing that happened. If you look closely at my version, which is on your, what is that, right, left? I'm retarded when it comes to writing. That one, far one. And when I got done with the body and the pieces, as I thought, these pieces should work for the body, I realized that it was the same thing that Axel had already done for Bangor, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we still liked it. Really, it was more, for me, it was more about the head design and the armor design. And then, yeah, Axel took it and made it even better.
Yeah, I remember Scott told me at first to do a thin character. That's why I chose to do it with part from Gimenez, yeah, and some parts from Antenna.
Much stronger design.
And it was always about, thinking about what common parts could we use
Exactly.
to make, like, these gentlemen have an amazing visual library in their heads about every kind of arm and leg and backpack that we've done, because we knew that if we were creating characters, we wanted to do so with the template of the line, so that we knew not every character that we created for the Minicomics fans were going to embrace. But maybe we get lucky enough that one or two might get a fan following. So we want to, as common saying in the tell, is setting yourself up for success. So by designing them from day one with common parts, it ensured it would be easier to hypothetically do them as figures. So that's why you see purposeful use of the MOTU classics, horseman sculpted parts. All right, so that's Quick Flick, the new Snake Man Archer, who made a very brief cameo and almost became Snake Man at Arms recolored until we bitched and complained about
Sad story.
Yeah, that was a almost narrowly avoided catastrophe. All right, additional character studies. So here is She-Ra at Arms. This is yours, right, Nate?
I just did the colors. I think you did this.
Yeah, I think we did it
Together.
Yep.
As it should be. So this was, again, just a way to do a new version of She-Ra as she takes over as captain of the guard now that Tila is the sorceress, so sort of like everybody kind of, it's like dominoes, we've got to jump up a roll. And then the idea was she could potentially come with other heads to build out some female troopers. And please, do you guys want to know anything about this design?
Pretty straightforward. I remember making that note of the gem changing color. No major story point other than that the comics at the time had just revealed, the DC Comics had just revealed She-Ra.
Yeah.
She had the red gem, so I thought, branding wise, let's pull that over. But yeah, the piece, obviously, as you can see, the piece pulls from the existing armor that Sherilyn Shield Maiden had with the interchangeable horde bat. And we thought, well, let's continue to play with that so that you could actually have an army builder where it's either She-Ra or you pop that out and it's a tank and it could be any of the other female soldiers. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I remember, like I did with another characters, trying to give her some weapon, take it directly from Filmation or another sources. So that's why she has the Crimson Pearl.
And I have no idea why in the comic she got a giant snake pincher attached to her.
Oh.
That just wasn't in the design, but
Someone else who's not here on the panel at DC Game Fun.
there we go. So she got a snake pincher in the comic. That was the design we intended. Lady Slither. So she's a perfect example. thought there should be more of them, and it'd be great to have a female snake woman, snake man woman. I'm a huge fan of Greek mythology, very much influenced by Medusa and Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
That's absolutely, kind of where that thinking came from. I'm a huge, huge fan of mythology. And she would have been a cool figure, but at least she had to show up in the mini comic. Oh, and Axel, I remember the headdress you created based on Filmation on.
I take it from Silora, from Giménez, and choose to reuse the Chila stuff, trying to mark some relationship with the same. So I think Silora is the snake clan.
Yeah.
Some kind of stuff like that. That's why I choose to give you the stuff. Okay.
The evil Lynn's knife, right? Yeah. So again, all reuse parts. Very
Actually, no, that looks like a snake.
No,
Oh,
it's
it's a snake?
a snake
Snake.
knife. Yeah.
I take that back. All right. Let's see.
Beautiful figure. I want that figure. Who else wants that figure?
Make it happen, Scott.
My abilities to master Nero's figures has diminished somewhat.
Logistics, maybe.
Logistics. Nope, logistics, 2016. Okay. So this was Lady Slither's fortress. The way I described it in the script was to make it look like a 1980s Snake Man playset that never happened. And then I know, Axel designed it, and please, you want to talk a little bit about it?
That's the early version of Lady Slither. I remember you suggest to take the slave girl from the Snake Man Minicomics.
Yes, King is a slave girl.
But I just decided to transform. And then only other playset. One of your notes was to do it like a toy playset, and like the idea. And then my first idea was to reuse completely the concept from the 80s, but I think it was not possible.
Yeah, I know, because we were like, you know what, better to not do that exact one, but just base it off of like that kind of.
Yeah. So I started to work on a new design.
Is that Iron Maiden in there?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
closing on a person with
Yeah,
a
that's
spike.
track. But yeah, the Snake Man never got a playset. Everybody else got a playset for the Snake Man. So this was me kind of thinking the Snake Man deserved a playset. So even though it's on a different planet and ruled by a different snake, leader, person, woman.
Yeah.
So again, expanding the universe. Okay.
Beautiful design.
All right. So here was Hans Hammerholder. So these both, from a script point of view, Hans Hammerholder was basically described as use the Ram Man parts, so we could reuse Ram, because we paid all that money for Ram Man, and Mattel did. So this was before the Horseman gave Goat Man a hammer. Before that, nobody had a hammer. So let's do a guy and give him a giant hammer, and we'll sort of do a reverse Gimli, where instead of doing like a short dwarf, we'll do kind of a guy with a big Gimli-like beard but make him huge. And just give him a giant hammer. And then Jetpack was originally just described as a character, like basically just a space jet, character with a jetpack. And Axel had the idea of saying, well, why don't we just draw him in the armor from Castle Grayskull?
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, we can give him like a Buster Crab type head.
Yeah.
That's what I said. And so
That's what was to finally have an articulated version of the Grayskull armor. That's why my main idea for him.
And that was like 1,000 times better than mine. It's like, oh, just make a guy with a jetpack. And the fact that you were like, well, let's use the actual. I thought, oh my god, of course, that's a great idea. Because yes, then potentially we could get a figure. And if we ever did jetpack, we could be in the back of my head. The idea was you could just do it with 2 different heads. One with the jetpack Buster Crab head, and then one with a head that looked like the Castle Grayskull. So that way you could do an articulated figure based on that and get a twofer. And again, always thinking of how we can do this kind of stuff. So that, was a great suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else on these two before we go next?
Make those figures too.
So here was Muckman, and we happen to him Robo Woman. So Muckman was basically described as literally just reusing Man-Face's body, and doing an alien kind of head and a guy that was going to shoot like mud out of his gun, which was part of it was based on my desire to Man-Faces. There was always a question of whether he's wearing battle armor or he's in a suit. In the 2000X series, they put him in an orange suit. In the vintage era, he was kind of supposed to be skin, not orange.
Yeah.
And the toy I had as a kid was way more orange than skin color. I know some people, their Man-Faces had more skin color, some it went more orange. So to me, he was always in an orange jumpsuit, like Man-at-Arms was in a yellow-green jumpsuit. So I wanted to definitively say, I guess, that Man-Faces was in an orange jumpsuit. So I said, so let's use that body and really truly make it a jumpsuit, and just, much like, like in the vintage era, in a way, Randor and not Ninja, Jitsu used the same armor. It was the same. It was trying to go with that concept of sort of paying homage to the vintage line created, or Triumph Champ and Fisto, same thing. So it was the idea of taking an existing vintage figure and how could you do him a little bit different as a villain. And you came up with the head with the one eye. That was you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you did a bunch of head sketches.
Yeah. Because I think that was no cycle.
Yeah, there were no Cyclops.
On Masters of the Universe.
So again, big, Greek mythology, love that kind of stuff. So Muckman. And yes, I know there's a Ninja Turtle character named Muckman, but there's also, it's not the first time there's been a blended name. It's Flipshot and all sorts of stuff.
Given that he's a monster, I chose to give him fit or new adventure schedule.
Yeah, so he's not directly.
Yeah,
exactly. There's a little piece mismatch. Exactly.
I think what's genius about him is he looks like he always was in the 80s line. Like that character was always there in the vintage line. It just looks like a perfect blend that just would have come right straight out of that era. I think that's one of Axel's huge strong points is that ability to fall in love again with what was there in the beginning and just make it as if it were a classic figure.
So Robo Woman there, again, very similar concept. In the script, it was just noted as I was a big fan of Roboto, and I feel like there's not enough robots in the line. I think it says Blast Attack, but there's no female robot. So really, it was just the idea, much like maybe Slither, let's do a female robot. And then you came up with the idea again, Axel, of basically using Gimenez body. So that we had that. If you're going to bother to do a figure, let's maximize it. So you'll notice she's wearing Gimenez. That's it, right?
Yeah, the same. Or I thought of maybe we could say push for Grenier by telling when you could have Grenier and then have a new character. We could use him mostly the entire body. And just design the head after Maria from the Metropolis.
Metropolis.
And part of the helmet is based on New Adventure sorcerers.
So there are a lot of visual clues to feel very MOTU. I was always, again, it's because of this guy's brilliant front pencil that stuff comes out. You saw my sketch of quickly. You don't want to try Minicomics. Incidentally, that's the same way we did all the maps, the land maps. I drew them horribly like that, and then would pass them off to both Axel and Rudy, who would then draw those gorgeous maps. They all started with my horrible pencil sketches. Okay, Tug of War and Scrollos. So Tug of War, he was pretty because of you guys. Somebody, I'm sure someone will take credit pretty quick, but people started posting on the forum that the yellow guy playing Tug of War was like the most obscure possible character ever. And I was like, for that reason alone, we're going to find a way to put him in there. It was like a challenge. So we needed like a Dalek Machina kind of moment in one of the mini comics, and it was a perfect moment to sort of just bring him in. And it literally looking at his vintage appearance, where this character shows up, helps win Tug of War, and then disappears again. Or like maybe he's like this cosmic being that just shows up to just add enough extra leverage on one side to win a battle, and goes away. And that's where it's fun. And then Scrollos, so thank you to Penny Dreadful, Danielle provided the vintage reference. He actually did look like that in one issue of the UK comics, and she was nice enough to send that to us. And I just sent that to Axel, and he drew Scrollos based off of that. Oh my god, I want Scrollos. Or not, yeah, it's big here. So, like, he's at the top of my list for characters we never got to. I just thought, so cool, and like, it's vintage, and he look, he's got a very unique look. He's kind of like the Collector, the Watcher from Marvel, and I was really glad. The mini comics were also sort of meant to be that that sort of fail-safe of all the characters we couldn't make a toy out of. At least they showed up in the mini comics. Prince Keldor and Prince Randor from issue 4 were also like that. I really wanted to do those because it was like the basically Anakin Obi-Wan Clone Wars, like when they were good guys, like doing Skeletor essentially as a good guy. Prince Keldor. I thought that was a really cool. That would have been a really good figure because it would really build into the lore. And anytime you have a figure, it creates a thing called permanence. Where you sort of can't say that doesn't exist anymore. So if we couldn't get into a figure, at least we got into the mini comics, and those two are perfect examples of yeah, we didn't have a slot for them, but at least they showed up. Anything else on these guys before we jump? Either of you?
Well, I just choose to do for Tug of War a new head. I just don't like the idea to reuse human head again. So that could be some kind of Black Star head.
Make it so.
All right, Man Crystal and Mistletoe. So two more kind of oddities that showed up in the mini comics.
Fast forward.
So we gave Man Crystal the Staff of Avion. Again, that was before it made it into the line. So again, trying to put things, filmation artifacts in, hoping they might make it in. The reason he's named Man Crystal is basically playing off of just the way MOTU figures are named. Beastman, Merman, He-Man. But I didn't want to call him Crystal Man because that sounds a little bit too much like something Walter White works on. We just called him Man Crystal instead. Yeah. It was a good solution.
It's like our MOTU version of Chris Star.
Oh yeah, no, that actually was also big fan of Crystal the Warriors. Again, it was very deliberate. It's like, what's a Crystal guy?
I'm in on him. Stay on fast forward.
We had Chief Carnivorous that was kind of like Lion-O. In fact, Eric gave him Lion-O's sword. If people noticed that back in the day. Yeah. So yeah, this was my way of getting a Crystal Warrior in the line. Sweet. We already had a Thundercat. Although now you have Thundercats, or at least you will. So who knows?
Isn't he also based on that one little panel in one of the early mini comics of the King?
Oh yes. The King of his red.
The silhouette green guy, but that cloak's there for that reason.
Yeah,
yes.
The idea was to have the chance to use him as the spirit of Castle Grayskull from the early comics.
Yeah. But so much fun was put into these discussions to maximize the potential if they could become figures. Yeah, because we had no budget, so it's like let's use every drop of ink we can, literally. All right, so wrapping up, so Sawtooth, this was a character from the Son of He-Man era, but he didn't appear in the Bible. Right. Most of them did, but Sawtooth did not. So you guys are basically playing around a while with this shark idea. Want to jump in?
Well, Those are some of my early concepts, and then I think by the reason of time, you translate to the final design.
For the final design?
Yeah, I think so.
These are your drawings. And I think
Yeah,
my
yeah.
drawings are on the next
Yours
page.
is on the
but-
next one.
Yeah, maybe if you want to flip back and forth, or at least when I started into them, I'm a huge fan of prehistoric creatures, and there are two large shark-like creatures.
Well, here's your sketches there.
Oh,
Yeah. So there was the Dunkleosteus, I think I'm saying that right, just a huge armored shark. I mean, this thing was bigger than a great white shark, and he was, just his head design is amazing. So look that up, Dunkleosteus. No, that's quick typing, right? And then there was also, it was the Helicopterian, I believe, the
Oh,
Helicopterian
yeah.
shark, which they find these fossils of this saw. It's like this, the bottom jaw comes out, and it's just rows of teeth on each other like a saw blade. And I thought, if this guy's name is Sawtooth, my mind went straight to a toy. If I were a kid, I would want a monster that could move his jaw, but then have some unique thing like a saw blade right there in front of it. It's like, he's feeding himself with this vicious, weird, prehistoric, kind of strange thing. It's like so out there and so weird, but so perfect for Masters of the Universe. So
And there was no shark character.
there was no shark there.
Yeah, so it was like a cool animal to exploit because there'd never been a shark character.
And we went back and forth, as you could see from the sketches. I mean, I had a certain head design in mind. Axel had numerous head designs in mind. And we ended up liking more that shark for that reason of, that shark face is a lot more iconic, but we could still pull from the cool idea of that spinning shark, that sawtooth channel, as it were.
All right, so I think the last one we got for you, I mentioned about that double-page spread in issue 8. So that was the third Ultimate Battleground. So Axel, that was basically I left Mattel right when issue 7 finished, and just started doing issue 8. And whatever for I wasn't there, all the details, but yeah, I tell everyone all things like the long defeat of the elves. So, yeah, that person died. So, someone's reading that Tolkien. So anyway, Axel originally started issue 8, and he wasn't able to finish it. I think they probably just needed it done quicker or whatever reason. So this was his original sketch for the issue 8 spread. Which had a lot more characters. All of the characters, all the double spreads, and all the issues were listed out on the page who should be there. So some of them have 100, put these 100 characters in. Some of the more notable things you'll notice if you look at the double page spread in the printed issue, the right-hand side, the bad guy side, has like a giant hole in the upper right.
Yeah.
And that was filled with a cliff, and you had Camo Khan was in there, who's now finally a figure, thanks to PowerCon. But we were trying to set up, doing a Camo Khan.
Bravos.
Yeah, Provis was in there. You actually see Acarius and She-Ra arms actually facing off with someone and not like slashing in midair at nothing. Loki was supposed to have this giant cannon on his, we wanted to give Loki this tiny little guy.
Yeah, next to Khan, I also draw a first Ate character from Argentina, Carnivore.
So this thing has there's a lot more characters in this than wound up in the issue. It was definitely a little heartbreaking to not just get to see this done. But there, at least you guys get to see the pencil sketch. I think you posted on Gimenez a little while ago.
Yeah.
So some people have seen this, but there it is on the screen, bigger. So that's pretty much the cool stuff that we had. Obviously, it's limited. So,
Awesome.
But that's actually how Axel originally contacted me. He was like sending me this cool art, and I felt so bad. I didn't even have the time to get back to you and tell you how great it was, because I had a day job at Mattel, which was running DC Universe with Green Lantern. Everything I was doing about Masters was, I think the Sanders brothers said it so well yesterday. I watched their She-Ra panel. I wasn't here, but luckily thanks to the internet, it's online. And Garrett or Darren had mentioned about how they did a She-Ra doll in their spare time, in their off hours. And honestly, the entire line was really like that, with dedicated designers and people like me in the marketing group doing this thing on top of our day job. So me not getting back to Axel and thanking him for this awesome art is only because like I didn't even get to start working on MOTU and Matty until 5 o'clock every day. And I was like staying till midnight just to get this done. So that was one of the ways he got my attention. I'm so glad you did. Because I could not imagine a better artist and colorist working on this stuff. It really, it brought these characters to life. It allowed us to put in, you know, the characters that like Strollos and Songster, and I was like Songster was in there. All these characters in the mini-comics that we couldn't necessarily get a figure of. So when I really think of classics as an all-encompassing line, I include the mini-comics sort of as the entertainment for classics, because that's where you find all those characters that we kind of wish we could get to, but we just didn't have the time or resources, et cetera, et cetera. But at least they exist on paper, and you can see what they were like. King Nero, again, another one we put in there. All right, I've rambled on enough.
So the moral of the story is that the mighty Spectre gave us Axel.
There you go.
So we're going to go ahead and open things up to Q&A now. We have a microphone right here in the center aisle. If you guys want to go ahead and start lining up with the microphone and ask any questions you have about these specific comics.
Hello.
Hello.
So awesome to see all of you guys together. It's really been a treat. I think the Minicomics has been one of the best things about the line, honestly, for me. I really look forward to them, and it's just a shame that we're not getting any more Minicomics. So we can now see the dedication that went into it to actually making it happen, right? So we're excited about the He-Man.org character poll and accessory poll that will be coming out soon, like we did last year. And I'd like to know if we can get this presentations in our hands so that we'll have that material to work with to include some of those characters in the poll, like the She-Ra Man-at-Arms character.
Oh yeah, I can send that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
Sweet. Good news. If I remember right.
Oh, so did I leave out Odar? Was he in there?
I may have forgotten to send
We'll send out whatever. Like we don't have much, but we'll send him what we got. Yes.
From that Bible, there were two characters. It was Sawtooth and Odar.
That didn't, right? That didn't. Yes. And there was one that didn't make it in. There was one character that was in the Bible, and I don't know if you I have no idea why he wasn't included. I think he just
ran out of composition space in that other panel.
We were doing these things like literally in our off hours. I think at least, you guys were getting paid to do them. I certainly wasn't. And yeah, it's like if somebody got left off, that's why. It was because literally these things were getting written on the weekends and doing everything we could to make them happen.
Okay, next question.
Oh, that's a great shirt. Swift Wind is a My Little Pony.
Terracotta Skeletor, he's got this big gun.
Oh,
big
yeah,
blaster.
yes.
What was the idea for that, and did that ever make it to the toy side?
So that's issue 3. You see Skeletor, Dragon Blaster Skeletor with a giant gun. Axel worked on that one. That was Wellington. But the idea for that was, so comics are a visual medium, and I was really trying to maximize every panel to communicate information, even if it wasn't in dialogue. It was just something in the background or something visual. So the idea of the gun was to communicate the fact that Skeletor was so depowered that he actually had to depend on artillery. And to tell you the truth, that of everything in the mini-comics, that gun was the one thing that was drawn the most incorrectly from what I had in my head. I wanted it to be a very tech-looking gun, not a demonic gun. Because I was trying to have a visual to show that Skeletor was so depowered and so desperate to fight that he had to lower himself to using a gun. It's kind of like when Obi-Wan picks up one to shoot Grievous in episode 3. How uncivilized. Like the idea that, Skeletor, again, doesn't have a tactic staff at that point, his had it. So it was to visually communicate that Skeletor needed help. And then Wellington drew it more demonic, and again, we just didn't have time to have it redrawn. So I was like, all right, fine, ship it, that's fine. Like, it wasn't as techy as I had hoped, but it still communicates that he picked up a gun. And I really wanted to do that gun with that figure, and it just couldn't happen for one reason or another. But yeah, the idea was to do that gun with that character and to just communicate that we needed a gun. And you asked a question, where did you ask the question? Wait, I forgot to give prizes.
Oh, there's prizes for
Yes.
questions.
So, as I mentioned before, at the beginning, I'm now VP of Marketing over at Jada Toys, working on these amazing metal figures. So, there's going to be over 150 of these by the end of the year. It is going to be an amazing line to get on the ground floor. This is just the start of diecast. Jada is very well known for diecast vehicles. They're getting into the diecast figure business. That's why I came over to them. And honestly, I'm really excited to get on the ground floor of an entire diecast figure business. Not just these figures, not just the scale, but this is kind of the start of it. So here's a killer drop there for you. And I got some more.
If you'd like to see the metal figures up close, visit youtube.com/pixeldan. Hit that subscribe button. Figure a stack and promote yourself.
But yeah, there's a lot of, not masters, but Jada has almost every pop culture license in here. You're going to see Ghostbusters and Marvel and DC and Turtles and everything. It's going to be amazing. I'm really excited to work on non-articulated figures. And I think metal figures have a lot of heritage. People have been playing with them for literally millennia. And there's something about holding a metal figure in your hand that's very different. So anyway, we'll keep the Q&A going.
Long question line here, not for questions.
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right.
So I talked about the technology a second ago, and one thing that's always sort of struck me is how pre-Eternia and like modern day sort of seem like they're at the same technological level, and people are wearing furry shorts in both eras, and yet New Adventures is 10 years, 20 years later, and it's so much more sci-fi type. Like, how did you sort of see that universe?
Well, New Adventures take place on a different planet. So you can easily say different planets have different levels of technology.
But like, I guess it's more the thousands of years between King Graceful and He-Man. There's lasers and barbarians and barbarians. Like, why is there not been evolution?
Fantasy. I mean, really just like it's a fantasy planet, it's a fantasy world. It's Eternia. It's eternally that. And there were differences in Eternia. I mean, the idea was it was a little bit more barbarian.
Yeah,
more
dinosaurs.
and one of the big things about the dinosaurs, and I don't know if this came across as much in the mini-comics as it kind of wanted. My thought about Eternia, especially with the dinosaurs, was the dinosaurs were always going to move in Eternia the way that we thought dinosaurs moved in like the 40s through the 80s. Where T-Rexes walk upright like this and drag their tail on the ground, and brontosauruses were, not even real dinosaurs, brontosaurus, but were in swamps, things like that. Like that beautiful, if you ever at the Peabody Museum at Yale, has this gorgeous mural of dinosaurs the way we used to think they walked, until Jurassic Park came along and showed us that they're fast, and raptors, and blah, blah, blah. So Eternia always wanted the idea that the dinosaurs moved in that sort of fantasy dinosaur way, not the realistic dinosaur way. So, come up and grab her list. From Jada Toys. Have I ever stopped?
So I really enjoyed the female palace guards, actually. I like the idea. Was there any other unseen female concepts that we didn't see besides, like, Lady Slither and stuff like that? I mean, we saw a lot of guy characters, of course, but there's not...
Robo-Woman.
Robo-Woman? Well, what about, like, a female version of, like, Mistletoe, like, Camel Time? Oh, or a Smudge.
That was last time. Nothing like that. You really expect me to say Chris.
So other female
I'll
characters.
still give you a joke. From Jada.
I saw a lot of old school characters from the 30th anniversary that didn't make it, like, what's his name?
Like Raja and
Yeah, you put them in the comics, you turn out constantly in
For-
those for the 30th anniversary.
exactly the reason that we said, we put them in the comics to hopefully justify doing toys of them. Yes, absolutely. Everyone who's in the comic, if they were in the comic, the idea was, like, the perfect example is New Adventures, She-Ra, and Spirit of War. They appeared in the comic, people started saying, hey, this is cool, and then we got to do toys of them. We didn't, yeah, I would love to get to all the 30th, the runners-up. Like, that whole thing where we have the runners-up characters from the modern contest fighting the runners-up from the vintage contest, like, I mean, you know, it was like such a fan moment. But yeah, I mean, I even want to do Netta, you know, it would have been awesome. You know, but Best laid plans of mice and He-Man. All right, then we get an Iron Man.
Oh, you're out of toys.
I'm out of toys. I'm never out of toys, but now at the moment I am. But yeah.
Next
But
day.
Amazon.com, you can get Jack Sparrow. Right now.
Hey, what's
Suicide
going-
Squad just came out.
What's going on, man? Brian Ozone, I do Fans Power podcast, Meeting Masters, and I went to your New York City, what's it called? Not the Toy Fair, the painting picture thing you had.
Oh, the gallery, yeah.
The gallery, right?
You
You guys showed Gorpo. How come you never used him in any of the comics?
The new one?
Yeah,
He was in the last two comics.
Was he in it? Because he had the big G on him at the show. So I was just wondering.
The one that was at the show with the
Right.
G, that was just a one-off that Terry Noguchi made for an internal presentation.
Okay.
But then we produced that figure as the unnamed one, and you
Yeah, but that guy don't count.
if you're going to caveat the request with that, then yes. But the answer is yes, we used him, but if you're saying that doesn't count, then how can I answer?
Yeah, but you made the go. Yeah, but you how come you didn't go forth with just Gorpo himself?
Like just to make him look like the toy. I mean, the horse. Basically, we had a horseman design the toy, and they designed the toy, and then we put the character who appeared in the comic was based on their toy design. So why they lost the GM? I guess just make it a little darker. Or
Alright.
yeah. And yeah, maybe Mattel will make a Gorpo with a G one.
Yeah.
Number one on everyone's list, right?
Just curious, I know you guys said
Sorry,
you were working on this on your own time. Was there any oversight from Mattel where they're like, you know what, Scott, can't do this, it's not gonna work. Oh, it's conflict with the line, or we're just not comfortable with this.
Like what? How so? What do you mean?
Anything in Minicomics, I don't know.
Anything in the Minicomics?
Yeah.
Honestly, there was very little oversight. Just because, I mean, people, I did, like, I remember I would send a script to, like, Rob David, who was on this panel before me, just to, take a look at them, to make sure the franchise group was seeing them. But, people were pretty much, they kind of let classes sort of just run itself. There was very little, like, I don't think I ever got comments that change this or do this. Honestly, because we were really flying under the radar, and it was such a tiny line, and again, because I was willing to do it, essentially for free, no one was objecting, because also the moment I think they thought they started objecting and poking, I would have been like, well, I'm not doing this anymore. So we were kind of left alone, which, Brooke and Shem, that's kind of how it happened.
So, toward the end of the last comic, you kind of set up future stories. Did you guys have plans to continue on the Minicomics? And if so, what stories did you have in mind to tell?
If we were going to do an issue 9, there were a couple ideas that never made it past just like notes on paper, but one idea was to do kind of like a Scrollos answers reader mail thing where it was like 4 mini stories, and it was like, it's kind of like what we did with that how Tila got the Stanford Coughing. It wasn't going to be like tongue-in-cheek as much like that, but we sort of wanted to do those, the whole idea with the mini comics was to sort of fill in those gaps. So I thought about maybe the next issue could have been like a 4 little short, like 4-page stories, just telling like little things like, oh, that's what happened in Tundaria. Oh, that's how Skeletor took over and was king. Oh, that's how Hordak came back and overthrew him. Like, then kind of, or how She-Ra and Vale came over. I thought I would be doing something in the Whispering Woods where they're like, okay, we got to go to Eternia, and Hordak is back. So even though he's left Etheria, maybe it's our responsibility to see through this and let's create a portal and go to Eternia and defeat him and team up, and that's how that first or second ultimate battle might happen. So that was as much as we I played around with what would happen in a future issue. Things like that.
Thank you very much.
And I'm answering all the questions. I'm sorry.
Is there a particular issue that's your favorite that you guys worked on, and is there one that you're like, that one wasn't as great as you wanted it to be?
You want to say? I do it all the time.
That's easy for me. I like issue 7 because I got the color. And then, but no, it was fun. There were some pretty good moments there. We got the death of King Case in there. We got the Lupin the Fighting Spector.
Mega Beast.
We got Mega Beast in there. We got there was some fun stuff.
Well, mine is issue 7 too. Mostly because not only all the stuff we work on, also by the colors of Nate. I love the work of Nate. And yeah, I think that is my favorite issue.
Yeah, and 7 definitely stands out. I mean, it was the one we all got to, basically co-invest in. And I think 4 is also a big favorite of mine, The Origin of Skeletor, because that was a sort of a story that was set up in the bios from day one, but we never quite got to it. It sort of depended on doing an outcast Keldor and a royal warrior Keldor, like multiple variants of Skeletor, in order to have told that story. Again, to do it all through a mini comic was very rewarding. It was also the first one I wrote by myself. The first one I wrote the story, but I passed it off to Tim to write the script. But I actually wrote that one as a script, and it was much more rewarding because Tim was fantastic to work with. He was amazing. But I realized it just created an extra layer. Because I kept having to give him notes. It was like, oh, change this, we have to do this, we have to make this change. And it just became logistically easier. That's why 4 just stands out with me. But they were all great. Until 8 came out.
Hi, thanks for all your great work. So, it was really great seeing some of the concepts today, and I was curious, what other animal character would you like to fill in the line with if you had that opportunity? What would you think would make an interesting character visually, or even in that sense, like the Solitude having that rotor blade would have fit in the vintage feel?
Like animal meaning like a sharp character or like a battle pack?
Well, in the sense where, like, say you want to do a different animal completely, like a squid. There's no squid character. What other animal might you want to do, or you think would provide an interesting vintage feel to it?
I don't know. I thought a bear was already visual, isn't it? Some kind of bear.
Yeah.
But
Well, Beastman was on the city.
yeah,
Red Beast.
Red Beast.
Yeah, Red Beast.
If you ask me, Red Beast all the way for me.
I have as I mentioned before, I love prehistoric beasts. I've always, in the back of my mind, thought that Masters of the Universe, if it really happened on Earth, and this is as big a dork as I am, if Masters happened on Earth, maybe it would happen in that great mammal age, right? In the Eocene and Pliocene era, where, and because there are some rhinoceros type or elephant type creatures that are just huge, or giant sloths even. Yeah, they could just, I think there's so many interesting shapes of their horns. I think there could be some things that could be played off of a lot of those types of beasts. It would be fun.
Cool, thank you.
All right, let's take the last question here.
What was going to be the last question?
The last one?
It is yours.
So I'm a huge fan of Black Protector She-Ra. That was a phenomenal figure. Yeah. So I mean, was that I guess it's kind of a chicken or egg question. Was it the artwork in the comic came first, or was the figure design first? And okay, now we can kind of put this in here.
It was very blended.
I can tell you from my perspective.
Yeah, go ahead. You may remember.
I was out at the Horseman Studios for Toy Fair of, I can't remember which year it was. It could have been 12 or 13. But I remember Eric. We were in the studios, and Eric had said, "Hey, Scott said that we need to design." It was at the same time we designed Unnamed One, and Eric looked at me and was like, "Hey, want to help us out and design a new adventure She-Ra? What would that look like to you?" And it was, and so, yeah, we convinced in the studio. We threw out some sketches together, and then I delivered that piece sheet over to Mattel, and it was shortly after that that Axel took over.
Yeah, I remember the designs, the final design of Unnamed One and a She-Ra was already made at the moment I started to work on the issue 5. Yeah.
Because I can tell you, she was planned as a figure before we drew her in the mini comic, but it was with the knowledge that the mini comic was going to come out first. People would see it and please let fans love this. Please let fans love this. Because we knew the figure was coming like 10 months later. But it was sort of one of those things where like, okay, we'll put out a mini comic, hypothetically, the fans will love it, they'll get really excited, and then we'll come out with a figure and they'll all be like, yeah, you did a figure of it, even though the figure was gonna happen anyway, so if the fans all saw it and hated the design, we were totally screwed.
I think they liked it.
Yeah, but then luckily they liked it. I actually, I had a lot of fear about, like, I love the design, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if like, there's just so much pushback and they hate it, because we've already got a figure planned, and,
I remember I was the one that was pushing the silver, more of the silver motif, the silver and white, because of the flip of, you know, He-Man in his old suit had a lot of gray tones and such. He still had gold on him, but then when you flip him into New Adventures, he was very gold. And She-Ra's standard was gold and white, so I wanted to flip that for New Adventures and have them kind of, as the twins, play off each other.
Yeah, no, I dug that aesthetic choice. That was really cool.
and I remember I had the only description I gave was with the sword. I said, as New Adventures He-Man's sword is the power sword, She-Ra's New Adventure sword is the sword of protection. You should basically do like an SAT kind of thing. But other than that, I had no visual. I was like, New Adventure She-Ra, she needs to happen, she should be part of that era. Like, make it happen. And we did.
Thanks.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap things up for the day. So I want to thank you guys very much for coming out.
Well, I will say one closing remark. I can't give details, but if you like what Axel draws and what I write, there's.
Thank you guys very much, and thank you all for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your day at PowerCon.
Thank you all for coming.